Track Records YouTube channel. If you haven't been here before, this is a place where you can find videos about cars and about how to drive cars. Now today I'm going to pick up a car which is new to the market, and it's not ordinarily a car that I would be interested in, but this one has me intrigued. It belongs to my friend Nigel. Yes, Nigel's bought another new car. He is the person that bought the Porsche Taycan not that long ago, and he's bought it to replace a Porsche. Now, this car has exactly the same performance, 0 to 60, as the car we're sitting in, my 2000 BMW M Coupe, despite weighing 2,000 pounds more and having 155 horsepower more. So that probably gives you a clue about what type of car it is. So we're heading over there now. He's away. I'm going to nip into his garage, steal his car, and we're going to take it for a drive. It's the Genesis GV80 3.5T, and I would imagine that this is the Prestige model, which is the top of the range. So we are going to take this car and take it out for a drive. Now, looking inside this, you could be forgiven at first glance to think it's a Bentley. That is not a surprise, given that Genesis employs one of Bentley's design chiefs, and he's done a very good job. Now, I will have to say this is a very nice place to be sitting, and the dog has already slobbered on his beautiful perforated seats. So I told you not to do, well, actually no, I told you not to shed on his seats. I didn't say anything about slobbering. So anyway, hopefully she won't do that anymore. Right, so here we are. The engine is running. You can probably hardly hear it. There's a beautiful digital display, a very nice digital display for the HVAC. Lots of very nice knurled buttons. Knurled, there's a good word. Very solid looking, and kind of nice combination of, I'm guessing it's plastic, clear plastic, and what I'm assuming is brushed aluminium. Right, so let's get out of here without hitting anything. So this car has the overhead view light 360 cameras, which is what you'd expect in a luxury car. Very nice high resolution backup screen, much better than the one on my Hyundai Kona, which is a bit strange seeing as it's from the same manufacturer. There is a very, very nice overhead view right next to the backup camera, so there really is no excuse about backing into anything in this car. Wow, that is, I generally don't like backup cameras that much, but this 360 view overhead is great. Very nice big screen. My understanding is that it is a touch screen, but it's so far away you can't actually touch it, so that's a little bit silly, isn't it? This car has everything in it, and Hyundai is very well known for putting a lot of tech as standard equipment in their cars. This being the top of the range model will have all the bells and whistles. So first impressions of this interior are that it is very, very opulent. Really nice wood and leather. It's just told me the car in front of me is driving away from me. I don't know why it's telling me that. I could see that given by the fact it was driving away from me. So it obviously gives you a lot of information. Probably a lot of information that I really don't want. This GV80 is the luxury arm Genesis. It's their first foray into the SUV market, having produced 3 saloon cars, or sedans if you prefer, in the US. The G70, 80 and 90, I think they are. And given what everybody else is doing in the market, it's about time they came out with an SUV. This is their first attempt, and It really is extremely nice inside. Now, Nigel was telling me he was thinking about this car. He had a Porsche Cayenne S, I think it was, and he felt it was time to replace it for one reason or another, which I won't go into. And when they spec'd out that car, the car they wanted, it was around about $140,000. This car with, I'm guessing, a similar specification to what they wanted. It's a little less powerful than the Cayenne S. Was mid-70s, so a little over half the price of the Porsche. Is it more than half the car that the Porsche is? I'm betting yes. Oh, now there's something interesting. When you indicate to change lanes, the display changes to show a rear camera view of the car. So instead of looking in the mirror, you can actually look in the display and you get a rear facing image. So we're going to turn right. I'm putting on the right indicator. Oh no, the right display shows me what's on the right hand side. That's really neat. I like that. Well done, Genesis. This is a really good feature. I grew up with small cars and I still have an affinity for small cars. So for me, this is huge, and it's competing against, in terms of size and offering, if not price, the Porsche Cayenne, the BMW X5, the Mercedes GLE, and the offerings. What else have we got? We've got Volvo, we've got Acura, we've got Lexus, Infiniti, and the domestic marques. I mean, everybody is in this sector. So it's very competitive. And what Genesis have done, they've come out with something very, very luxurious and very high-end feeling, but at a lower price. Now, the price isn't significantly lower than the BMW and the Mercedes. It's maybe $5,000 for a comparable car, but it is significantly lower than the Porsche, which is why Nigel and Susan chose it. The biggest hurdle that Genesis have to face is the fact that its name isn't Porsche, BMW, or Mercedes, or even Lexus. Now, they're trying to do what Lexus did 30 years ago, and Lexus knocked it out of the park at the time. And so this car, I think, really needs to be extremely special to get over that brand snobbery. But I do have to say that this car is extremely comfortable and very quiet inside. In fact, I probably don't even need to be using this microphone. Let's see. This is an interesting test. We'll unplug the microphone. So now I'm just on the GoPro microphone, and we'll see how that is. I'm guessing that it'll be no problem at all. So sitting in this, there's this beautiful leather finish and nice brushed aluminium accents and a good selection of knobs. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know what a fan of buttons I am. I do not like these touch screens which do away with all the buttons, and in particular here I can move the vents manually, which feel very nice. To point the air where I want it to go, I don't have to go into a touch screen and a bunch of menus to find out how to move the bloody vents. So that's already a plus for Genesis. The leather in here is really, really nice, very nicely stitched, quilted seats which are perforated, heated and ventilated in the back, I believe. There are nice aluminium accents on the door handles, and there's this nice stripe that goes down separating the dark and light leathers, and I do know there's LED lighting in that as well. The knobs are really beautiful to touch and feel very solid, and there are nice clicks when you move them. We've got a big control button here in the middle, which can control the menu and what we see on the screen, this very wide big screen up top, which is a touch screen, but it's too far away. You have to really lean forward to use it. So you have to use this button down here. So once again, it's like you've got one button to do the function that the screen could do. If they had the screen a little closer to the driver, you wouldn't need this button. But I do like buttons. What is interesting on this is the rev counter goes anti-clockwise, much like Aston Martin's. So I don't know if that's intended to give an illusion of sportiness in this car, or if it's just to look cool. I kind of like it, but really, if you know, it's an 8-speed automatic in this car, what do you care about the tachometer? Most people aren't going to look at that, but it is a very nice display. This 3D display is really well done, and it's one of the best displays I've seen to look at. And it's telling us at the moment that we are averaging 15.6 miles per gallon. That's not very good. It's because this car weighs 5,000 pounds. Under the hood we have a 3.5 litre V6 which produces 375 horsepower and 391 torques. Now, this is the biggest engine that you can get in this car at the moment. Some of the competitors offer V8s, I think. So that may be considered a drawback for this car, but from what I can tell from the very short time driving it, you don't need anything more. I don't understand why people buy this size car with a 500 horsepower engine in it. It's not like you're going to take it to the racetrack. Or you might take it to the racetrack so you can drive your race car, but you're not going to drive this on the track. You don't need anything more than this. The base model has a 4-cylinder turbo 2.5 litre which produces 300 horsepower, which, you know, is probably adequate for this car. I would imagine the extra power in this one though makes passing a lot more straightforward and probably sounds a little smoother and feels a little smoother. There's a beautiful display here. It's a digital display which shows where the HVAC is operating, so whether it's going to the seats, to the feet, and it is touch enabled. And this is nice. Like, you can use the touch screen to aim where you want the air to go, but then you use the vents manually to fine tune it once you've got the air going in the area where you want. And this is a dedicated screen for the HVAC. It's not buried within a bunch of menus. So if we're going to have touch screens controlling the climate control, this is the way to do it. I like it. And it's got big knobs on the side where you can change the temperature. It's dual zone, and then you've got buttons around it for like kind of the principal functions. So top marks to Genesis for that. And the other thing I like as well, very similar to my Hyundai, it's got the same kind of buttons. You've got buttons for the principal functions of the infotainment system. So for the navigation, you've got a star button which you can program hazard warning, radio, media, and then the setup menu. It's kind of strange though that they've got one display up on the dash, which is the main display to see everything, which I said is touch screen, which you can't reach. Then they got the smaller touch screen down below surrounded by the buttons, and then further below on the center console they have this big scroll wheel and like a home menu button, whatever, and then the gear selector. So everything's spread out, but it's not too bad. It's actually ergonomically acceptable. Now we've got the sun coming in this car, and this center screen is angled upwards, and you can see the fingerprints on it. You don't see the fingerprints on the top main screen because it's flat to you, so the sun doesn't bounce off it as much. But any kind of angled screen, and I found this in the Porsche Taycan as well, any kind of angled screen will show fingerprints, and this one shows fingerprints because of course it's black and shiny. You can tell how quiet this car is. Now, admittedly I've got the radio off, but I can actually hear the dog's gentle snoring. and the only noise I'm really hearing is from the tires. It's not from the engine. So they've done an extremely good job at insulating this car. So the question is, would I buy this car? And the answer is probably not. Probably not, because I'm not really in the market for this type of car. But if you're in the market for what I would say is a large SUV, I know there are bigger ones out there, but if you're looking for something this size with a lot of space in back, not only for the passengers but also in the trunk area, and you're looking for something that is very comfortable, very quiet, with all the technology you need, then you should definitely look at this car. Is it going to attract people away from Mercedes, BMW, Porsche? I don't know. That's a tough call, because brand loyalty to those brands is very, very strong, and there is a lot of badge snobbery. Will it attract people away from Acura, Lexus and Infiniti and the other, what I would call second-tier luxury brands, or even though they have fantastic products? I think there's more of a chance there, but I still think it's going to be an uphill battle. People still remember what the Hyundai products were like when they first came to market, and quite frankly they weren't very good. They were very cheap in terms of not very much money, but unfortunately they were quite cheap in terms of how they were made as well. But they have come on tremendously. This car is obviously very well built. It's very, very quiet in here. I mean, you can hear me easily. There's not a lot more noise in this car than there is in an electric car. The level of equipment is outstanding. The leather used and the finish on the seats in particular is very, very nice, and this wood is beautiful. I've just noticed there's even a padded area in the same quilted leather as we have on the seats here for my knee. So they really have thought about this car. When I first got in it, I said that you could confuse this with a Bentley. It's not competing with the Bentley Bentayga, but there are definitely touches of that car in this. Yeah, excellent first effort, Genesis. The only thing is, will people buy a Genesis? I need to spend more time in this car to really delve into all the features, but I hope you liked this quick look. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, leave any comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, cheers.